Welcome back to Prudence Coaching. Today we are going to discuss everything for the poem The Heart of the Tree by Henry Kyler Burner. Previously we have discussed stanza wise explanation along with paraphrase and the summary, theme, justification of the title. All these are discussed separately. Now we are going to discuss everything here, so get ready for the most interesting session of the year. Here we will tell you each and every minute details. So let's start. About the poem. The poem was first published in 1893 in the Century magazine, a famous 19th century magazine. Immediately after its publication, the poem started receiving rave reviews for its refreshing approach to nature, the ecological sensitivity, and brilliant depiction of humanist spirit. Now this is the picture of the poet Henry Kyler Burner. Henry Kyler Burner was a 19th century American poet, playwright, short story writer, and novelist. Students, if you know about the poet, then we can make a perception about this poem and its theme of the poem, which is very much necessary for writing our answers. He was born on the 3rd August 1855 in Oswego, a town in the north central area of New York, close to Lake Ontario. He is known mainly for Tower of Babel. Burner's works have been praised by librarians for its technical dexterity, playfulness, and smoothness of finish. He was educated in New York City and later became the assistant editor of a Weekly Puck, which is a humorous comedy. He was a gifted poet and clever humorist. Henry Kyler Burner died on the 11th May 1896 in Nutley, New Jersey. He was only 40 years old at that time. So finally we have finished the description about the poet, and now we are going to move to the background of the poem. That is, the poet has written the poem feelingly about the benefits of planting a tree. Though the poet has written the poem more than a century ago, it's much relevant at this age. Now, with the rising population, there is the dearth of living space. Hence, to provide for urbanization and the development of modern world, man has taken resort to deforestation. It has left its mark on the environment and has done the society more harm than good. Wildlife is now on the verge of extinction. So the poet is concerned for the huge loss of our environment due to the rapid urbanization. He wishes us to give it a thought which will help to mend the situation. So this is the background of the poem. That means which thinking the poet was having in his mind before writing the poem. Now we are going to start the line by line explanation. This is the first stanza. What does he plant? Who plants a tree? He plants a friend of sun and sky. So in the beginning lines of the stanza 1, the poet asks a question, which is a refrain, because this line has been repeated in the rest of the 3 stanzas. So this is a refrain, and the poet asks the questions himself. So this kind of asking question and answering the question himself by the person is a type of antipophora. This is another kind of figure of speech. So here the poet is asking, what are the benefits of planting a tree, or what is the benefit offered by a person who plants a tree to the society? The poet here answers that he plants a friend of sun and sky. That means here the person who plants a tree, he plants a friend of the environment, because the tree grows upwards and tries to reach the sky and absorbs heat from the atmosphere. In this way it becomes the friend of the sun and sky. That means in this way it becomes a friend of the nature, the environment. He plants the flag of bridges free. Here, bridges free, the shaft of beauty towering high. That means the person who is planting a tree, he is planting the flag of bridges free. That means the plant which has grown already, it is now fluttering in the air, it is now swaying in the air. The shaft of beauty, the stem of the particular tree looks very beautiful, and it looks like a shaft towering high. It is now swaying in the breeze, and it has aimed to reach the sky in its tall position. So the planter of the tree is planting the friend of the environment, and the tree that is fluttering in the breeze looks like a beautiful shaft that aims to reach the sky. He plants a home to heaven and eye for song and mother croon of bird. Here you can see croon means buzzing of birds or humming sound of the bird. So this tree which has been planted, it becomes the home of the several birds. So birds builds nest on these plants, and these plants aims to reach the sky, so their nests are quite nearer to the sky, and this humming sound of the mother birds are very sweet that pleases us in hushed and happy twilight heart. So this croon, this humming sound of the bird can be heard in the twilight. Twilight means the period just before it becomes completely dark in the evening. So the hushed or the croon of the mother bird, the humming sound of the mother bird can be heard in the twilight. That means just before the sunset. The treble of heaven's harmony. So these kinds of things are very much essential to please us. These kinds of things are pleasing us in such a way that we are feeling that we are in heaven. That means we are having a heavenly delight where we are having these kinds of atmosphere. These things he plants who plants a tree. So these are the benefits served by the person who is planting a tree. So in this first stanza we can see the person who plants a tree, he is providing a friend of the environment, and the tree looks very beautiful like a shaft. It's just trying to reach the sky, it becoming tall, and it is the home of the various types of birds, and these birds sings in the twilight, and this singing of the birds fills the atmosphere very much, and in this way we are having a atmosphere with heavenly delight. Now I have given you this meaning. Harmony means pleasant musical sound, house means softened. So these words are given for the help of your study. Now we'll move to the paraphrase of stanza 1. We are told that he who plants a tree plants a friend of the sun, the sky, and a flag of the free breezes. The tree is personified as a friend of the sun, and the sky as the tree, being a living entity, provides a companionship to both. The leafy branches of the tree are linked to a flag fluttering in the cool breeze, and its trunk is linked to a high towering pole of beauty. He who plants a tree also plants a home nearer to sky, where the mother bird softly hums a soothing tune to her cheeks after sunset. The hushed song heard in the twilight fills the entire atmosphere with the heavenly delight. One who plants a tree ushers in all this beauty along with it. Now we will know about the main concept of the first stanza, that is, thus the planter of a tree doesn't just plant a tree, he plants someone's friend, someone's home, someone's safety, and someone's region to be happy and sing a soothing song of peace and security. Now we'll move for this explanation of second stanza. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants cool shade and tender rain. So the planter of a tree is providing the cool shade and tender rain. Tender means soft rain. That means the planter of the tree is providing the cool shade and tender rain indirectly to our atmosphere. That means he is giving these kinds of benefit indirectly to us, and seed and bird of days to be, and years that fade and flash again. Flash means take rebirth. So the seed or birds that are planted, the seed that are planted, they are just giving rebirth to a new tree. The time is passing by, and after a long time the tree is being grown to a long tree, and in this way the tree is having its rebirth. The birds are blooming. So there the sense of rebirth has been sketched out by the poet. He plants the glory of the plain, and he plants forest heritage. So the tree becomes the pride of the plain, pride of our society, and one tree develops another several trees and becomes the forest heritage. That means Heritage means a place having historical importance. So the tree that has been planted already, it is now developing into several trees and becoming the forest heritage and the glory of the plain. The harvest of coming age, the joy that unborn eyes shall see, these things he plants who plants a tree. So the person who is planting a tree, he is planning for the future. His visionary thought is enough to make the environment suitable for our future generation. These are the good harvest provided by the person who is planting a tree. So in this passage, in this stanza, we can see that the planter of a tree is helping the society in numerous way. He is providing cool shade and tender rain through the trees that has grown already, and he is planting the seed that is being developing into a new tree, and it's becoming the glory of the plain and forest heritage. And the generations that has not yet come, that means for our future generations, even this is becoming a very good extinct. This is becoming a very good things, that is providing the harvest of the future generation. Unborn eyes refers to the future generation, and here coming age also refers to the future generation, that means the days to come. And now we'll move to the paraphrase, that is, when one plants a tree, he establishes with it the cool shade and the tender rain that enlivens the earth. Seeds and birds represent the promise of life and potential for growth. The tree is a glory of the plains and the heritage of the forest. Planting a tree ensures a harvest for the future generation. It is a gift of a better life from the present generation to the future ones. So planting a tree actually nourishes many generations, even those who are not yet born. Now we'll know the main message of this stanza. Thus, the person who plants a tree also plants a promise of life, a seed of hope, the heritage of the ecosystem, and gives a gift to the future. Now, the third stanza. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants a sap and leaf and wood in love of home and loyalty and Farkas thought of civic good, his blessings on the neighborhood. So in these lines, the poet tries to say us that the planter of a tree is providing food for the future. The sap and the wood all are very good supply of food, all are very good supply for our future generation. And he is not only planting the trees, but also he is establishing the good kind of relationship with his family, not only with his family but also with the whole nation. And this is becoming the farcast thought means the visionary thought for our civic good. Here civic good means well-being of the humanity. That means the person who is planting a tree, he is also very good hearted, he is very kind, that he is offering these kinds of benefit to the society, and his blessings on the neighborhood. That means through the planter of a tree, the God's blessings is being showered to our nations and our neighboring nations as well, who in the hollow of his hand holds all the growth of our land. A nation's growth from sea to sea steers in his heart who plants a tree. So here the planter of a tree acts as an agent of the God's blessings. Here God holding the whole creation in the hollow of his hand, means in his palm. The God is holding all the creation in his palm, and the person who is planting a tree, he is here acting as an agent of the God, and through the person the blessings of the God has been delivered to the human society, to us, and these blessings is being spreading from sea to sea, that means one country to another one. So these are the benefits provided by the planter of a tree, and the person by planting a tree is becoming a very good hearted person and establishing a very good relationship not only with his family members but also with all the members in the society, with all the person in our human society. Now we'll move to the paraphrase. That is, the planter of a tree not only plants resources for the future in the form of sap and leaf and wood, he also plants within the tree his virtues, his love for home and loyalty. Thus, planting a tree is a proven visionary thought which leads to the well-being of the humanity. The person he who plants a tree brings his God's blessings on the environment. His act of planting a tree is a blessing to the neighborhood. God holds all the creation in the hollow of his hand, means in his palm. He showers his blessings in the forms of the numerous benefits of the trees. Thus, the planter of a tree acts as an agent of God's blessings, who thinks of the welfare of the nation and works for the welfare of the humanity as well. Now we'll know the main message, main concept of the third stanza. That is, the final stanza of the poem projects the act of planting a tree as something which connects human to the divine. Planting a tree allows us to act as an agent of God's blessing and also enables us to bless the world in a godlike manner by creating a better future for our generations to come. That means for our future generations. So that is the main concept of the third stanza. Now we'll know about the summary of the poem. Students, if you memorize the summary of the poem, then you can write all the question answer very cleverly and skillfully. So this is the summary. The poem depicts the numerous benefits of planting a tree. It comments on the relevance and importance of the trees in the modern times. A tree is a friend of the environment, a home to many. It offers cool shade and bring rain. The place where it stands is akin to heaven. That means close to heaven. As it shelters bird, one can hear their sweet songs in twilight. So one who plants a tree creates a congenial atmosphere all around, in which tree there is space, comfort, beauty, music and harmony. Trees are the glory of the plains and depicted as the rich heritage of the forest. Planting a tree is working for the welfare of the mankind. He who plants a tree is one who plants a new nation which ensures peace and prosperity in the whole world. Planting a tree allows us to act as an agent of God's blessing and also enables us to bless the world in a godlike manner by creating a better future for our future generation or for our generations to come. Now we'll know the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem, the main theme of the poem, the heart of the tree, is afforestation. The random and reckless cutting down of trees leads to the huge loss of our environment. The tree proves to be large-hearted as it benefits all and sundry. It has the ability to form the congenial atmosphere, being a friend of the sun and sky. It creates beauty around. The poet wants the readers to realize the need for planting trees. The poet also says that planting trees showers God's blessings on us. One who plants a tree, in fact, plants the growth and development of his country. He plants a new nation which ensures peace and prosperity in the whole world. That is from sea to sea. That means he is providing the peace and prosperity in the whole world. That is getting spirit from a nation to another. That means from one country to another. Thus, planting a tree, according to the poet, has ecological, social and economical benefits. Now we'll know about the title of the poem. That means the justification of the title. This is one of the most important questions from this chapter. Now we'll know the title of the poem. In this poem, the tree is compared to the human heart. Just like heart is an important organ for the survival of the humans, just like that the tree who has not got the heart as an organ, but it plays the best role of it by explaining its beauty and benefit in the poem, not only for humans but also for animals and birds. Tree is serves as living legacy to the future generation. Nation's growth is dependent on the growth of the trees. Hence, we can conclude that the heart of the tree is an appropriate title given to this poem. So, this is about the justification of the title. Now, we will move to the next part, that is the used figure of speech. So, in the exam, we are often asked which figure of speech is used in this sentence or this phrase. So, this figure of speech has a very great importance for our exam. Refrain, the first figure of speech that is used in the poem, that is refrain. What is refrain? A refrain is a line or a group of lines that regularly repeat, usually at the end of a stanza in a poem or at the end of a verse in a song. In this line, what does he plant? Who plants a tree? This line has been repeated for thrice in the beginning of each of the three stanzas. So this is a kind of refrain. Next, there is metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that describes an object or an action in a way that is not literally true. That means it is not practically true, but helps explain an idea to make a comparison. Such as in this line, a friend of sun and sky. So student, have you heard one can be the friend of sun and sky? So this is literally impossible, but here the poet has compared it metaphorically. Then the flag of bridges free, the forest heritage, the harvest of a coming age. So in these lines the poet has used the metaphor. Next figure of speech is alliteration, is a term to describe a literary device in which a series of words begin with the same consonant sound. So student, this is very much important. Here a same consonant sound is being repeated in a particular phrase or line. So in this line, he plants a friend of sun and sky. Here you can see the sound s is repeated. Here is sun and here is sky, so the s is repeated, so this is alliteration. Next, in hushed and happy twilight heard, so here you can see h is being repeated, hushed and happy, so this is hushed, happy and heard, so here this is alliteration. In the next line, such as and years that fade and flash again, so here f is repeated, consonant sound f is repeated, so this is alliteration. He plants a home to heaven anigh, you can see here home and heaven, both h is being repeated, consonant sound it is repeated, that's why this is alliteration. The next figure of speech is imagery, visual imagery. The shaft of beauty towering high, the flag of bridges free. Here these things can be imagined before us, such as these things can only be observed or can only be recognized by after observing these things. So this is the part of visual imagery. Now we can know the definition of imagery. Imagery can be defined as a writer or speaker's use of words or figure of speech to create a vivid mental picture or physical sensation, such as you can look at these things or can heard it, so these kinds of imageries are present over there. And next there is auditory imagery, that is for song and mother croon of bird. So students, we can only observe or can we recognize any song by listening to it, so this is a kind of auditory imagery. Next we are going to learn about form and style of the poem. The poem has been written in a conversation form. All the three stanzas of the poem, The Heart of the Tree, starts with a refrain, that means repeatedly asked question, with the poet asking what the man actually plants, who plants a tree. Then he chooses to reply it by himself and shows what a tree means to the humankind and to the nature, thus providing how great that man is. Now we are going to learn about style. The poem has been written in the 9-line stanzas, that means each of these 3 stanzas having 9 lines each. The lines have been written in iambic tetrameter. Iambic means, students, a disyllabic foot which has an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed one. Next we are going to learn about the rhyming scheme, that is very much important. The poet has maintained the ABABBCCDA rhyming scheme throughout the poem. If you just look at the lines of the poem, you will understand it that the last word of each of the lines has a similarity with the following or the next line, so that in this way rhyming scheme you can understand it. You just look at the poem in front of you, you have the book probably, so you just look at the last word of each of the lines and then you will be able to connect to this rhyming scheme ABABBCCDA. Next there is important question answer. Today we are going to discuss the most important question answer, that is part 1. We will be here soon with the next part of this video, that is important question answer from the poem The Heart of the Tree part 2. Now we are going to discuss part 1, that is here are stanza has been given. He plants a friend of the sun and sky, he plants the flag of bridges free, the shaft of beauty towering high, he plants a home to heaven and I. So in your exam, in this way questions will be delivered. There will be a stanza from this question, from this stanza 5 questions will be asked, and this 5 question will have 16 marks for you. How is a tree a friend of the sun and sky? So it is containing 3 marks and this is the first question. Next question is, what is meant by shaft of beauty? What is compared to the shaft? This is containing 3 marks. Why does the poet say flag of bridges free? It has 3 marks. Who does the tree provide a home? It has 3 marks. What is impact? What is the impact of beginning the poem with a question? What is the figure of speech used here? So it is having 4 marks. So in this way, total 16 marks is being completed. Now we'll go for the first answer. That is, trees are depicted as a friend of the sun and the sky because they help in maintaining stability in the ecosystem. It utilizes the sun rays and maintains moisture in the atmosphere. So that was the answer for the first question. That means here you can see the first question. You can have the first question here. Who is a tree is a friend of sun and sky? So that was the answer for the first one. Now we'll move to the next question. That is, what is meant by shaft of beauty? What is compared to the shaft? Now we'll move to the answer. That is B. Shaft of beauty means a beam of beauty or a ray of light. And the next part is the tree which grows high with its long narrow stem is compared to the shaft. Now we'll move to the next question. That is number C. Why does the poet say flag of bridges free? Now the answer is the poet uses the expression flag of bridges free to refer to the tall trees that stand erect just like flag that flutters in the breeze. This signifies that trees are a friend of nature. Now we will move to the next question. That is question number D. Who does the tree provide a home? Now number D. Who does the tree provide a home? Trees are the home to the numerous birds who build their nest on the trees close to heaven or near to the sky. Now we will move to the last question. That is, what is the impact of beginning the poem with a question? What is the figure of speech used here? Now the last question, that is number E. The impact of beginning a stanza with a question. Now the last question, the answer is the impact of beginning a stanza with a question is done to create curiosity and eagerness in the reader's mind to know more about the poem. The poet has used it purposely and cleverly before every stanza. Now the figure of speech, that is the figure of speech used is hypophora or antipophora, means it's a technique of raising a question and then immediately providing an answer to that question. So finally we have discussed everything that you need to know from this poem. I hope you have learned a lot of things that you didn't know in your previous time. So our last request, students, to if you have been benefited from this video, then don't forget to subscribe channel, like our videos. Have a nice day, students. Thanks for watching.